For safety reasons, the decision was made that Paul Davids and I would remain at the houseboat on Dal Lake where we were staying, and that Anil, one of our producers, and the rest of our Indian team would go over to the tomb of Yuza Saf, and even they had problems about security. About every 100 feet there would be an Indian soldier with an automatic rifle on duty with the flak jacket and the helmet. And those soldiers were guarding against any kind of terrorism, any kind of trouble that might take place, because there's a lot of hostility and tension.
Just getting to that particular place itself is very, very risky, and all the more due to the presence of a mosque nearby, which generally has seen many gun battles between the outlaws as well as the security forces.
We were trying to keep it secret that there were any Americans anywhere around there, but the word spread fast. They seemed to think that we might want to buy a quality Kashmiri carpet. And then as our Indian team got closer to the tomb of Yuza Saf, they found themselves in a heavily Muslim neighborhood, and it was a very tense kind of environment that they found themselves in.
They opened that casket and they basically raided it. And a lot of the documents and scrolls and important things that were in there associated with this tomb have disappeared or being held in private homes. What they've done is rip out all of the wood carvings. They removed the sarcophagus that contained all the relics. They replaced it with 4 glass walls so that now it looks like a shopping mall, you know, and they put a flimsy fake sarcophagus inside. They painted the whole thing green because that's the color of Islam, and they removed all traces of the blue.
बहुत पुरानी है, ये कह नहीं सकते हैं। हाँ, हमारे पुराने बुजुर्गों ने कहा है कि समंदर के इस पार ऐसी जियारत कहीं नहीं है, ये पैगंबर ज़्यादा है, समझे। और मिस्र से आए हैं, यहाँ पर ये क्लाइमेट, ये है ना, ये मौसम आब हवा अच्छा होने की वजह से उन्होंने यहाँ इबादत की है। यहाँ के मुसलमानों का प्यार देखा है उन्होंने, तो उन्होंने भी इस प्यार के लिए इसको वापस जाने नहीं दिया। हाँ, इनका ये इंतकाल भी यहीं पर हो गया है, ये यहीं पर दफन हो गए, बस ये बात।
So when Muslims living near the tomb insist that this is a prophet from Egypt, that could still mean Jesus to them.
In fact, it corroborates the story rather than detracts from it.
The tomb of Yuza Saf is hundreds of years older than the beginning of Islam. In the Muslim tradition, an enclosure building is never built around the tomb. But this tomb of Yuza Saf has an enclosure building around the sarcophagus, around the grave, and that is an ancient building.
J&K police. J&K police. Nice meeting you. मेरा नाम अनिल है, आपसे मिलकर बहुत खुशी हुई। तो हम आपसे पूछना चाहते हैं कि ये जो मज़ार यहाँ कब्र बनी हुई है, ये किन की है? ये मुसलमानों की है। ये मुसलमानों की है। इसके बारे में कहा जाता है कि ये ईसा मसीह की है। नहीं, ये गलत बात है। ये गलत बात है। ये गलत बात है। अच्छा। ये ऐसे ही लिखा है किसी ने किताब में, ये हज़रत ईसा है इधर। ये हज़रत ईसा नहीं है। और ये हज़रत यूज़ा है। यूज़ा है। हज़रत यूज़ा है।
The direction of the tomb is in the Jewish direction, east-west facing, which suggests that the inhabitant of that tomb would be a follower of Moses, of Israelite origin, because this was the direction that they buried their dead in.
There clearly were groups that did believe in aligning graves in an east-west manner rather than a north-south. For many, many, many hundreds of years, Jews were looking along that east-west axis. It was that band of the Earth's circumference that Jews occupied rather than largely to the north or south.
In the valley of Kashmir, the Temple of Solomon contained an ancient stone inscription going back to 54 AD. The inscription said that Yuza Saf proclaimed his prophethood and that he was Yusu, prophet of the children of Israel. In modern times, the inscription was destroyed, but not before photographs were taken of it. And that should settle the question as to whether Yuza Saf was from Israel or Egypt. Darin Wacht. Wacht means time in Persian. Darin Wacht, at this time. Yusasaf, Jesus the Gatherer, Dawai Pagamambari Mikunand, that he proclaimed his prophethood. And the other part, he was Yusu, prophet of children of Israel. Aishan Yusu, Paihambari Bani Israelas.
When I was given permission to get the DNA, those men had access to the underground tomb. Under the main room is a cellar, and there's another tomb down there. So it's a big room. You can walk around. There's headroom.
यहाँ एक शख्स हैं जो अजीज कश्मीरी
हाँ,
उन्होंने किताब लिख दी है
वो सब झूठ है, वो सब झूठ है।
उन्होंने आपकी क्या राय क्यों ऐसी कहानी बनाई
पैसे कमाने के लिए और क्या।
अच्छा
Someone in Kashmir told me, who had been down there many, many, many years before all this militancy, before the tomb was altered, and they said he isn't in the ground. Behind one of those stone walls is a ledge, and they put him on that ledge and sealed off, so there's a false wall, and he is behind that false wall.
तौहीन हो रहा है ये कि अगर कोई भी फिरका ये कहे कि हजरत ईसा यहाँ पर है, ये मुसलमान के इस कुरान को तौहीन है, ये मुसलमान बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे। इसलिए गवर्नमेंट ने इसको ये नहीं, वो क्या नाम है उसका, गवर्नमेंट ने ये मान लिया हमें कि इसको बंद कर दो, फिलहाल लाक कर दो इसको।
They had said at the time, we're only going to be removing rocks from where the feet are, so that you have access to the feet. We don't want to remove the whole wall. So they've seen it. They know there's a body there. Yes, DNA can be recovered. If there's bones, they can get the DNA.
It doesn't matter how old the bones are?
No, we have 4,000-year-old, 5,000-year-old Tocharian mummies that they're getting DNA from regularly.
ये गवर्नमेंट के ही इजाजत से एक लेडी आई थी यहाँ, वो यहाँ से सैंपल उठाना चाहते थे डीएनए टेस्ट के लिए। अच्छा हाँ, तो इसीलिए ये बंद कर दिया है यहाँ पर ये मुसलमान लोग जो है ये बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे इसका तौहीन।
I received all the approvals I needed, but at the last minute there was some militancy, and this was shortly after 9/11, and the project collapsed.
One of the significant aspects of the tomb of Yusasaf, there is a carving of 2 stone feet. The stone feet have strange marks, as though at the time of the burial, the artist was trying to show that that individual had undergone a crucifixion, and to preserve that knowledge in stone. And of course the Muslim caretakers now keep it covered over with a cloth because they do not want attention to be drawn to that fact. It took me personally about 20 years before I could change my thinking and not be threatened by the possibility that Jesus may have lived through the crucifixion and recovered his health and lived a long life. But I do not think it is heresy asking the questions and seeing where the evidence leads.